All right, folks, the movie we've all been waiting for, the very, very true-to-life retelling of Al Yankovic's rise to fame to be the #1 artist of all time. Weird, the Al Yankovic story has dropped on Roku. First and only time I'll probably be saying that. Let's talk about it. So, Weird, the Al Yankovic story. If you don't know what it is, then you're probably in the wrong place. Just kidding. We are all welcome here. I love you. Please don't leave. Weird, the Al Yankovic story is a musical biopic, but not in the traditional sense, because everything is, not everything, I would assume, most everything is fictional. Intentionally, it is meant to skew the events of, not even skew, I mean, most of this is just straight up fabricated. And it's supposed to be a parody because, you know, that's what he does best. Obviously, he parodies music. And so, in an inspired move, they made a film about him that parodies music biopics. And I think this comes at a great time because musical biopics are a very prominent genre currently within the medium. And these days, it seems like we just keep getting, look, I don't mean to call out any specific ones, but we're getting a Whitney Houston one in just about 2 months. It looks very generic. Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, is the one a lot of people point to that's just a very, very standard retelling of Freddie Mercury's life. And you've got a few here and there. And obviously, you know, you have some that aren't that. Like Rocket Man is a personal favorite of mine because I do think it bucks the typical filmmaking patterns of these kinds of films. And Weird, you know, is obviously a very, very different musical biopic. And I actually will just call out a film that came out earlier this year, one I was very excited for, and one I actually do have a review of, you can find that up there, is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage. And the film sort of pitched itself on being an absurd, just ridiculous film in which, you know, a ton of unrealistic things happen, and it is not meant to be, you know, an accurate representation of life whatsoever. And so I went into the film super excited, super willing to just have fun and a good time, and I was very disappointed because my main complaint was that it did not go far enough in these absurdist things. First of all, it just wasn't funny, and Weird is. Where The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent really failed, though, was it was just not willing to go far enough. It teased you with things that it might do, but it never really went all the way. And as a result, it felt, you know, pretty held back. I think you definitely could have had a lot more fun, at a minimum, if you had just let more loose. And I feel like Weird does that. This is a film, like, I feel like I've written sketches for YouTube that are just like this film. And it makes sense because one of the production companies, I guess, behind this is Funny or Die, which, as I understand it, is a internet-based, you know, comedy sketch group. They did a Weird Al Yankovic, you know, musical biopic parody a bit ago. It was like 5 minutes long, and then obviously transformed into a film. And that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like some guys, some people, sat around at a table writing these jokes that are just make no sense and are ridiculous and are hilarious, and turned it into a film. And I think for the most part, that works. Now, where it did lose me a little is that even though it's calling out a lot of these tropes, I do think it also falls into the problems that a lot of these tropes fall into. The main one that I had a problem with is the whole, and really every musical biopic, for God's sakes, does this one. It's starting to get on my nerves. The person is being, the protagonist, the musical genius, is being held on a leash by this producer, by this girlfriend, by this wife, by this boyfriend, by whatever, and they don't break free because either they can't realize it or something like that. And I do feel like it hinders the story a little bit. Obviously, it's tongue-in-cheek, it's calling it out. In this film, it's Madonna, and of course, that never happened. But it's just a little, it hinders the film, in my opinion, a little bit. Because even though it's trying to make fun of the trope, it still creates an experience that, you know, this is the kind of thing I was hoping Weird would avoid. Maybe make fun of once, and then not actually follow that as its storyline. Because it's still adopting the tropes, right? It's still partaking in the tropes that it's trying to call out. And so I definitely think, you know, that's worth criticism. That's really the only bad I have to say about it, that sometimes, you know, some of the tropes it makes fun of, it actually participates in. And beyond that, I thought it was fun, enjoyable. Nothing, this isn't spectacular cinema or anything like that, but it's a good time. If you like Weird Al as a person and you like his music, then this is a kind of film that you will enjoy, because I do think, it very much embraces his the kinds of things that he likes to create, parodies, and also just this absurdist humor. And so I think the film does a really good job of creating that, and certainly better than your run-of-the-mill average biopic. So very glad this exists. I would give Weird, the Al Yankovic story, a B, a high B, because I, at the end of the day, had fun. All right, folks, if you've seen Weird, let me know what you thought of it down below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, would love to hear both. Would love to argue with you about the merits of the truth of this story. I will see you. Never for a Roku original again, I would imagine. Bye-bye.